we got to come on. Just kidding. Good morning, guys. Appreciate you guys, all, as always, taking time to come out here and listen to me and our coaches talk about where we're heading. I'm really proud of our guys, man. We've Coach Hilgard and his staff and our coaches. We've had a really good first 2 months. I mean, and I would assume everybody around the country is probably saying the same thing, right? You always got to find ways to win January and February. But I'm proud of how our guys worked. And from on the field to in the weight room to getting into a little bit more football in the meetings and going through some stuff, I'm just proud of where we're growing, proud of where we're stepping to. And I talk to our players a lot about the climb. Like that's life, right? It's not about the end spot. It's not about the mountaintop. It's about the work you put in and the processes you create every single day, because that's the reality about life. The second you win one challenge or win one game, what are you blessed with? The opportunity to do it again. And so I'm proud of where our guys are going. Talk with our team a lot about being built different. You guys probably see that a little bit on social media and what it is. And it's really, we're not trying to fit in any mold. Like, it is different here. It's been different here for a long time. We got to continue to push that forward. The blue-collar work ethic, outworking people, the diligence we do, the toughness, the family, the love, like, it is different here. And to be a player to come here, a coach to come here, a staff member, it's different. Like I said, we're not going to try and fit in any mold that people have for us. We're going to be different, and we're going to push the envelope in everything we do, because we talked to our team earlier today. Everybody gets 15 practices. It's not like we're going to find our way to get 6. No, everyone's got 15. The how we do it is what's going to always separate us, and that's what goes into being built different here. So I'm excited for us to step into spring ball. Football, as you guys well know, it's all about the different seasons you're in. The second that you feel like you're done with one season, you move on to the next one. So we just obviously finished winter conditioning in that season, and excited to step into spring practice starting Monday. We got one more workout tomorrow with some meetings, and we start in spring ball practice 1 on Monday. So we'll go Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, like Pat said. Then we'll have spring break off. And then when we come back, we'll go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for really the 4 weeks up into the spring game. So excited where we're going, excited where we're pushing, and ready to get rocking.
Spence, this is the first time I've had a chance to talk to you since Koetter came back on board. I mean, can you just tell us how that whole thing came about? Did you reach out to him? Did he show initial interest? How'd that come about?
Yeah. Obviously, when a coach leaves, for me, I'm going to take slow with the process, because everybody who comes in contact with our players in this program matters to me, and I will not try and go fast just because of the sake of going fast. Like, I want to find the right guy, the right fit, and that's multifaceted. Obviously, with an offensive coordinator hire, quarterback coach, there was a lot of things that I knew we needed here. Proven play caller, quarterback developer, can make and create elite connections with our players and grow them not only as football players, but as men off the field as well. And so going through the process, taking my time, talking with tons of coaches at all levels, Zoom interviews, going through the process. Coach Koetter's always been a guy that I have the utmost respect for. And even early on was talking to him about it, and he helped me walk the process as well. And he helped me even, picking his brain on different guys we interviewed and went through. And there was a lot of coaches that I picked their brain on, because I always want to make sure I make the right choice for our players. Not gonna do anything rush, because they matter to me in every way. So walk the process. And worked my tail off, because I believe in Coach Koetter. I believe in who he is as a football coach, but even more as a mentor and as a man for these young players. And so finding a way to get him here, and he's excited about it. And I came to him and said, Coach Koetter, this is the best thing for this place. And not even just for this season, which obviously the way college football is, it's the here and now, and I get that. But his development of our offensive staff, his development of our players for the future, because I also believe in what we do offensively. The terminology, the language, the schemes we run. We're always going to try to evolve, but I believe in what we do offensively here at Boise State. And being able to fine-tune that, to wire that even tighter for obviously this football season, but even for the future. My goal is for us to have the success I believe we're going to have offensively. And my goal is to work to promote someone from within and stay true to who we are offensively. I told our players, the terminology you're learning now, the terminology that we have and we're continuing to grow, that is what we're going to do here offensively. And we're going to stay true to that. No different defensively. Coaches have opportunities to maybe leave. Like, I believe in what we do defensively here, and I believe in what we do offensively here. And so for me, it's obviously growing Coach Koetter, not only running the offense right now, developing our coaches right now, our players right now. I believe in the legacy he's going to leave for the future as well. So it was a perfect fit. It took a while, but it mattered to me, and we got the best guy for the job. There's no question in my mind.
After he was initially an advisor, at what point did he become a candidate in your mind?
The whole time. he's a guy that obviously I have the utmost respect for, and I don't think you'll meet someone in this profession that sees it any differently. But I wanted to walk the process for myself, and I wanted to walk the process for our players. And taking interviews, Zoom calls, conversations, guys across the country, from the NFL to FBS to FCS, across the country, talking with guys that were interested and guys that maybe I had seen from afar that wanted to get to know more. And obviously all the work behind the scenes, getting to know these guys as people, if they work somewhere, calling guys that they worked with, and just the holistic process that I went through because I wanted to. And I wanted to make sure whatever we decided that I walked that process the right way. And so the whole time he was. And like I said, he's a guy that I cannot be more excited. He is without question the best man for the job right now, and to continue to push our offense forward even for the years to come and the legacy he's going to leave.
Said, like, last time we talked to Dirk, when, after the previous season, I mean, he seemed done, Spence. Like, he seemed like he was ready for retirement. How did you pull Dirk Koetter out of, we'll call it now, semi-retirement, and actually get him to do this for you?
Yeah, like I said, guys, it took me a while. I'm working on it. No, he's Coach Koetter, and you're going to be able to speak to him here in a little bit. He loves football, but he loves football for the players. He loves being able to take them from where they are and develop them to where they're going to be, from obviously his time in college to the NFL. And he loves Boise State too. He loves Boise State football. It matters to him that we have elite success here, because that's what it is. And so walking the process with him, with candidates, picking his brain, and like I said, other coaches that that are advising me and helping me. At the end of the day, it's the decision I make, and I understand the decisions I make affect everybody, and they're my decisions. But I want to be able to pick a lot of people's brain and bend their ear on situations to make sure I'm not missing it. And so going through the process with Coach Koetter and walking the path for the couple weeks, whatever it was, little by little, I think he knew that this is the right fit too. He knew it was the right fit for our players, for our place, and for this time, because it's not just for the here and now. I do believe in the future. I believe in where we're going to build this to. I'm here. I can tell you guys that I am so passionate about the success that this place is going to have on and off the field, to push it to heights and even past. And it's going to take everybody. And it's going to take doing things differently. And Coach Koetter being able to push our offense, not only our staff and our players, but everything, not only this season but for the years to come, was paramount to me. And at the end of the day, I knew it without question is the best thing for our place.
I know a lot can happen between now and then, but you mentioned, eventually wanting to promote someone, from within. Yeah. Was that kind of the idea behind the one-year deal, is give him the 1 year and then hopefully
absolutely.
Next year there is someone ready to?
Yeah, absolutely. And going into the season, and I wanted to take a lot of the gray out for the situation too, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Right now, Coach Koetter is our offensive coordinator, quarterback coach for 1 year. And he's going to develop our offensive staff, our players, and push it for the future. And whatever happens at the end of the season, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I know we're going to stay true to us in regards to offensively what we do. How we develop players, our offensive schemes, our terminology, who we are is going to stay the same. And we're going to always find ways to evolve and be on the cutting edge. But I believe in what we do offensively, and excited to push it not only this season with Coach Koetter leading it, but also for the years to come. Because we got a phenomenal offensive staff too. And I don't say that lightly just because I'm standing up here. Coach Potter, coaching our tight ends, co-offensive coordinator, phenomenal offensive coach, and not only a phenomenal offensive coach, but does a great job leading his room and touching every single player on our team and making them better. Matt Miller was wide receiver coach, just promoted to pass game coordinator, because I believe in him, and our players do too. I know what type of football coach he is. I know what kind of mentor he is. James Montgomery coaches our running backs. I mean, we've seen it verbatim what he can do with our running backs, but even seeing him involved with the whole fronts and how he grows that. Coach Keene, our offensive line group, with returning 4 starters and what he did last year. So I say all that is we got a great offensive staff, and I believe in them, and I'm working to empower them. And everybody that goes in that room matters to me, and matters that we're all aligned and going the right way. And so I'm excited for not only this season, but excited where we're going to go to even in the future and seasons to come.
Spencer, the last time Dirk was here, he was just trying to win a game on Saturday.
Yeah.
This time I would assume that it's the whole process of quarterback developing in the spring, everything up to probably including, or not even including, recruiting. But what's his expectations for his job this time as compared to 2 years ago?
Yeah, no different. 2 years ago, to your point, I mean, it was hired on Sunday, I believe it was, and it was. I think we played San Diego State that weekend. So it is being. I know even for Coach Koetter too, being able to go through the process now with an off season. So instead of going in, drinking out of a fire hose and just trying to make it work, it's building this offense from the ground up. And that's what I told him too. I was like, Coach, I want to streamline everything from our terminology to how we do run game, pass game, everything to once again build it for the here and now. This is a sport that it's all about what have you done for me lately, and I understand that. And I'm excited about our team in the 2024 football season, but building it and wiring it even for the future. And so seeing him being able to go through spring ball, being able to go through summertime, being able to go through fall camp and wire it the way we need to be one of the most explosive offenses we've been in a long time, I know he's very excited now to have that time. And I mean, I joke with people. We were out on the blue on Tuesday, and it was snowing. I look at Coach, and he put a hoodie on. He's like, "Let's go to work." So he's fired up, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to talk to him because I'm excited that it's the best fit for our players, this place, and once again, not only this year, but for the future too, Mike.
Is it weird to hire a coach for 10 months? I mean, you guys are always looking for 2- and 3-year contracts, and that's always been the tradition, but college football has changed. You said here and now. Yep. You just hired a coach for 10 months. It's kind of weird.
Well, I think, Mike, I mean, the whole college landscape has changed a lot. I mean, you could hire guys for, regardless of the contract that they're on, right, Mike? I mean, how many times we hired coaches on multi-year contracts and they're gone in a year, right? So that's where, for me, it's you got to focus on the day. You got to focus on the what's here, what's now this season, and then long-term approach to how that affects our players. And that's the biggest thing that I'm working to create with our players is consistency. We've had a lot of staff movement throughout the past years that I've been here. My goal is to create more consistency for our players. And so being able to streamline our schemes defensively, offensively, and special teams to where, yes, there are going to be some coaches that get really great opportunities because of the success we have. And I'm excited for them. But I also want to stay true to who we are. So our players here that are freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, stay in the same rhythm, stay in the same terminology so they can continue to build that confidence and trust in it, Mike, for the future because we are a developmental program. Like we spend our money on developing people. Like that's who we are. And so getting someone to come in here as a freshman, I don't want them to learn new schemes year in and year out because we can't develop them at the speed we need to. Bring them in here, develop them in regards to fundamentally, technically, in the weight room with Coach Hilgart, and then as they grow and develop as freshmen into sophomores, that's when they become the elite players here because we're a developmental program. I mean, that's who we are and that's who we are going to be, and it's going to be different around college football. Right now, college football has become very transactional. 1 year here, like my goal is to focus on transformation, and that's what we're going to do.
Malachi Nelson, how's he kind of fitting in, and what do you want to see from him this spring?
Yeah, he's done a great job fitting in with the team, and since the second, obviously a lot of media buzz with him coming here, which rightfully so. He's done a great job just being low ego, high output, and coming here not only just gelling with the offense, but we talk about crossbreeding all the time, getting with other position groups across the ball. So he's done a great job with it, working his tail off. And the biggest thing, BJ, and I tell Malachi, I'm just excited to see him compete throughout spring, and I'm going to come out and say, guys, we don't do depth charts per se in spring. I tell our team this is a seeding chart. Spring ball is used to move guys around. Maybe you're a 2, or we call it an orange one day, and then you're the one that, like, my goal is to create competition across all 22 positions throughout spring, special teams included, because competition breeds everything. And so it's nothing will be given, everything will be earned. And so anybody new to our football program has to earn it. Our guys that have been here and maybe they started for a year or 2 years, they still have to earn it. Because my goal is if they don't come every day and earn it with everything they do and how they handle meetings, how they handle practice, that guy right behind him can't wait to take his spot. That makes everybody better. That's the iron sharpens iron. And I'm not just saying that just because I'm talking to you guys. This is the exact same thing I talked to our players yesterday in our team meeting. It's the same thing I'm going to tell them tomorrow. And it's the same thing that I'm going to talk through them as we go through spring ball. As you go through spring ball, there will be seeding chart moves in regards to, because you want to see guys with a different group and how they move, but competition is going to be through the roof. Then at the end of spring ball, as a coaching staff, we're going to sit down. I'm going to meet with every single player and be clear, concise, black and white about, hey, BJ Raines, this is exactly where you're at on the depth chart. This is why. This is where you're at. This is the things you did well. These are the things you need to improve on, and give them a plan of development for the summertime and into fall camp. And so I believe in that. I believe in being clear with players and not, well, you're doing a good job, man. Keep it up. And they're like, does that mean I'm playing? Does it not? Like, I believe in being clear. I believe in having the hard conversations because you love them. And so, long-winded answer to your question, BJ, but the biggest thing I want to see from Malachi is the same thing I want to see from the rest of our players is compete every single day. Don't worry about what you can't control. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about game one. Worry about practice one. Worry about the meeting prior to practice one and compete in everything you do. And as a coaching staff, we're going to be evaluating everything we do.
What about with Maddox? I know that
Yeah.
only a week or two that you guys moved spring ball back, but does that allow him to maybe do a little?
Yeah, so right now with Maddox, I mean, guys, he has been absolutely killing it in the training room, which is par for the course with who he is as an individual. So as of right now, he's not going to be able to do any team stuff for the near future, but he's going to be able to go through some indies. You guys will see him out doing some indie on Monday, and hopefully even being able to maybe get some 7-on-7 reps as we go through early in spring ball. So we're still working that process. We're not going to push anything because his health and well-being for the long term is obviously paramount to me and our staff. But excited that Maddox is going to be able to go through Indy, some routes on air, and even potentially get some 7-on-7. He won't be getting any team, especially early on in spring.
You mentioned the seating chart. You obviously lose a couple of good offensive linemen. So do you have any anticipation who's going to be in the front row of the seating chart on the offensive line?
There's going to be a lot of moving parts with that too, Jay, because there's going to be, and you guys will see it, and I'll be up front with you guys. We're going to have some guys out in spring ball, the entirety of spring ball, from injuries that happened in season that we had to get surgically repaired. So it's time for other guys to step up. And who is worth the blues, which we call the blues, which is our ones going into practice one, might not be with the blues practice two. And there's going to be guys at right guard that we're going to try at center too as we go through. Not too much to where guys can't build the confidence and the techniques, but especially on the offensive line. We've got 4 returning starters. Some of those guys aren't going to be going through the entirety of spring with just injuries that came from season that we got to make sure are healed up. So I'm excited to see that competition through the roof. I know Coach Keene's going to do a phenomenal job pushing that every single day, and we're going to move those around.
Do you have any kind of list of guys that are limited or out, or?
We do, and we'll give it to you guys, BJ, because I'll give you guys the list of exactly who we guys. I mean, we got a decent amount of guys that won't be participating in spring, just with some stuff that happened from season that we had to get surgically repaired. So there'll be guys, and we'll be open with you guys on that. I don't have the list on me, but there's a decent amount of guys that won't be participating in spring because of surgeries.
Cam Kemper's out this spring?
He's out for spring.
What about Chris Marshall? What do you want to see from him, and how's he fitting in?
Yeah, so Chris has done a really good job since being here, just focused on what he's got to do. Football, school, and he's been able to mesh really well with the team. He's done a really good job in our workouts. Had a hamstring that got a little bit tight earlier last week, so we're making sure we're smart with some of the soft tissue stuff. But he's done a great job to this point. Same thing, compete, show up, compete in the meeting room, compete when you come on the practice field. And that's the beautiful part about the game we play, is it is black and white when you make it black and white. Watch the film. It's not because I like you more than the other guy or not. Like, compete, put it on film, and I'm excited for him to do that. I know he can't wait to get back on the football field.
I know there are multiple reasons why some of these guys came to Boise State, but Bush Camden at one point in time was a reason. So what are your conversations like, whether it be Malachi or Chris or some of the guys that obviously knew Bush when they committed to come to Boise State?
Yeah, Jay, I mean, especially in recruiting, you talk about all the time about the place, but the place is made by the people. And that's just what it is. And so with Coach Hamden, he did a great job from recruiting and in all facets of it. So whenever a coach leaves, obviously it's hard. And change in general is hard. And that's the part that is near and dear to my heart for the future of our program, is working to create more sustainability, especially in our staff. But when a coach leaves, to me, it's just having those upfront, honest conversations about, who we're bringing in to replace that role. And I try and be upfront with our players too. Guys, my tail off always whenever change occurs is to find ways to be even better. Not even stay the status quo. Nothing against whoever was here, but my goal is to always, if there's change, how can we even make it better than it was prior? But change is hard. And for me, that's where actively recruiting every single person on our roster, no different from Chris Marshall to Malachi to these guys we recruited. I'm actively recruiting them as hard as anybody as well, because they're coming here to play for a coaching staff too. Yes, a coach is involved in their primary recruitment, if it's their position coach or the coordinator, but I want to make sure they always have that connection with me too, because I know how much I love being here. I'm passionate about the future of this place and where we're going to push it forward and how we're going to be built different. And so even though change occurs, I come right alongside and be like, hey, the plan hasn't changed. everything I told you, everything I told your parents, we're staying true to that, and we're going to keep pushing forward. And I promise you, whoever we bring in here, we'll push even farther.
What's Ashton Jeanty's mindset for the spring? And do you coach a player like Jeanty differently?
He is on a mission. And the thing that you don't see, just because you guys are more than welcome to come to our 5:30, 6 a.m. workouts we've been having. But it's in the snow a couple times, Johnny. But, I mean, you talk about a guy that, yes, there's a lot of buzz about Ashton Jeanty. There's a lot of hype about Ashton Jeanty, and every bit of it is earned. When I go in the weight room, I go on the football field, you talk about a guy on a mission. I talk about the guys on a mission. They don't need a cool YouTube video before the workout to get them pumped up. They don't need the right music. Like, they are on that mission. If you're there or not, turn the lights off. I don't even really care. Let's go to work. That's who Ashton Jeanty's been. And the awesome part is he's out working everybody he goes against on the field. And what's happening with the guys he's working out with then? They're raising up too. And he's bringing guys with him, And that's the part. Elite teams are player-led. Very average teams are coach-led. That's not my opinion. That is the reality of it. And so seeing our team with who we've got coming back, we've got a great group of leaders that, first off, have to lead themselves. But a guy like Ashton Jeanty, you just got to watch him to see exactly what it takes to go be elite and how he trains and how he recovers, how he handles himself. And that's what I'm so proud about Ashton. Yes, there's a lot of hype and buzz, and all of it is earned, but my man is on a mission in regard to how he's training and working, and his foot is on that gas.
Just in terms of the beginning of spring ball, how has his role been scripted? Is it going to be 50-50 with him and CJ? And I know there's a couple of other guys, but is it going to be 50-50? Is Malachi going to be the one guy? I mean, how are you going to work him early in camp? Because I'm assuming later in camp it might evolve.
Yeah, no question. It's for sure going to evolve. To start out, CJ will get a good amount of the 1 reps on Monday. Malachi will get majority of the 2 reps, but Malachi will also, we've scripted a decent amount of 1 reps for him too. So there's going to be a mix to start. Mike, and then obviously evaluating every single practice. And that's at all positions, especially with players that are new to our football program. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Given Jeanty's importance to the team, I mean, especially like the contact and scrimmages and stuff, do you kind of keep him lower up this spring? Or?
We're going to be very smart, especially with guys that, because spring, obviously, you're growing fundamentally, technically, schematically, but also you want to see what some players got. And maybe they're at a certain level and you want to see them even push that standard. And I know it's maybe shocking for some, but there's some things that I know Ashton Jeanty's fired up to improve and get better at as he steps in that football field. We're always about development and pushing forward. But we're going to be smart with our players, especially in live situations, that have played a lot of football here, that have earned a lot of what they've been given. To what extent, I'm still working through, but we're going to be very smart, especially with Ashton Jeanty.
Position battle or a position in general or an area or two that like you're going into spring by April 20th, you're most intrigued to find more out about or anything, or what's your focus in terms of positions this spring?
No, good question, BJ. And not to give a typical answer, but especially with some of the guys we have out through spring and guys that have to step up in certain positions. First off, I'm looking at certain players across the board. It's a long list of just guys that I'm excited to see them step up. I'm excited for them to compete at the highest level they've ever had because I'm really proud of what they've done to this point in regards to how they've trained. Now I need to go see them do it on the football field, right? I need to go see them in an 11-on-11 setting. So that's really holistic for me. Certain guys and I've had these one-on-one conversations because I've met with everyone on the team prior, is where I'm excited to see them grow. And at the end of spring, when we sit down together, I'm be like, hey, BJ, we talked about this. This is a huge need and a huge thing you need to improve on, and you did that. That's what I'm excited to really be able to look at as we go through spring, because it will be very black and white. But across the board, guys are going to be in different positions, either A, because of injuries, or 2, because we want to see how they compete and how they do it together. So I don't know if I can say there's one position group for me, BJ, that I've got circled. Obviously, as you go through spring, those will show up. Because defensively, there's a lot of things defensively that I'm going to look to see the steps that we need to grow in from the back end to the front. Offensively, receiver-wise, quarterback-wise, offensive line with guys stepping in. So I can't say that there's one position group that maybe's circled. Every single player in our team is going to be evaluated from top to bottom as we go through spring. And we're evaluating ourselves as teachers, as coaches, to make sure we're getting that done too.
How's Ashton been handling the hype, especially with the word...
Say it one more time, who?
Ashton, how's he been handling the hype, especially, with the word Heisman being thrown around?
Once again, guys, every time I'm around Ashton, he is on a mission. There is not one little bit of it, not the inkling of like, is it getting to his head? Is he kind of more worried about that than work and developing? Not one bit. My man is on a mission. Like I said, he don't need hype video, YouTube videos, music. He is here to work and improve, and he is training at the highest level that I've ever seen. And now, once again, he's bringing people with him. And so I'm excited to see him continue to grow and develop throughout spring and in the summertime.
This is your first year as the head coach heading into spring. What's the biggest thing you want to accomplish, and what fingerprints might be on it for you that might change how you guys attack spring this year than in the past?
Yeah, Bob, good question. The biggest thing for me, and I'm beating a dead horse even talking to you guys right now, is the competition. And it's not about arriving, it's not about the mountaintop, it's that process to get to where you want to be. Because everybody in press conferences right now, everybody going into spring ball is going to talk and tweet about how excited they are for the football season. I don't think there's anybody across all FBS teams that's like, I don't know, guys, going to be a tough one. Right? Everyone's about what they're going to do, what they're going to accomplish. And I tell players all the time, we have to put the work in. We got to earn it. We got to prove it every single day. And so I'm excited for our guys to take what they did in January and February training and now go earn it and prove it on the football field and see it at every position. So when we get done with spring, yes, there's a long list in regards to football-specific stuff that we need to take a big step in regard to tackling, blocking, certain techniques that maybe weren't efficient on offense and defense and special teams. But the biggest thing that I really want to see from our entire team is just, are we competing at the highest level in everything they do? And that's not just when they're out in the practice field when you guys are watching. Are they competing when they get in here to get their bodies ready for meetings? And then when they go pre-practice, is our body position and communication the way it should be? So you're competing in everything you do. Like I said, I tell our guys, elite competitors can't turn it off. Like, you go to the classroom, you want to get an A on that test because that's all you know. You go to the practice field, you need to have your best practice because that's all you know. And raising that for our entire team. And when we leave spring ball, if I'm like, we got a bunch of competitors that they don't need anything outside. This group's built different, and we'll play in a parking lot. That's what I want to feel like when we leave spring.
Last one. Latrell Caples, what's his status?
So he's gonna be going throughout spring. He's had a phenomenal January, February training cycle. There's gonna be a little bit of limited stuff just in regards to reps, but he's gonna be involved in team, 7-on-7, all the Indy. And I am very, very excited about Latrell Caples and what he has done to this point. Not only in how he got himself back healthy, ready to play, how he's gone through these workouts, but seeing him step up in a leadership role and bring guys with him and hold guys accountable to the standard we have here. So Latrell will be rolling in spring. There will be a couple times in team situations that we're going to be smart with some of his reps, but he's going to be rolling.
All right. Thank you all.
Appreciate you guys, man. God bless you.
I knew this was going to happen today. Didn't expect to be standing here again in my lifetime.
What does it feel like to be standing there?
My head's spinning a little bit right now, to be honest, but they're getting me caught up.
Why did you decide to come back and do it?
Oh, man, Coach Danielson's a good salesman. I'm sure it's a good future for Boise State recruiting. He's a good recruiter.
When you retired a year ago, you said you were done and you were out coaching. What was it going to take for you to be pulled back in?
I didn't think about it like that. I don't know. I mean, I had no plans to do it. I mean, I had plenty of other opportunities, but just not in this city.
You said you were, part of the process, at least early on, and giving feedback or talking about candidates, whatever. When did that kind of switch to you were a candidate yourself?
Well, I mean, Spencer started asking me the first day, and then he showed me his list of about 30 plus people. So You know, every time we were talking about different guys, and I was in on some of the Zoom interviews. I mean, he'd ask me again, again every day, and you know, he was persistent in it. Spencer did a really good job of knowing what he was looking for and sticking to his guns, which is a good sign for him long term. You know, I thought we had some good candidates on that list, and but you know, those are all head coaching decisions. I mean, Spencer's been making a lot of good moves since he took over. You know, just like I said day one. So my respect for him, my respect for the Boise State program and the tradition of it. I mean, that's just a part of my life forever. And then, you know, I've worked with 3 of the 4 full-time offensive coaches here before, the 3 of the 4 assistants on offense, and they have a really good offensive staff here, a good coaching staff in general. So I knew I could work seamlessly with those guys. And then, you know, there's a good team coming back, you know, the players. So, I mean, it's a short-term commitment by me, and that's it.
Part of the process, I mean, part of the job description, it sounds like it's working with Nate, working with Matt, and trying to get those guys ready to become you one day. How enticing was that for you?
Well, I mean, not necessarily enticing to me, although I think those guys are really good. That was just something that Spencer added to it. Then, you know, that's really, yeah, that really wasn't part of it for me.
What do you want to bring to the quarterbacks? You've got a lot of quarterbacks in the room that haven't had a whole lot of experience. So
Yep.
This spring, what do you think is your biggest ability to help them get better?
Well, that, you know, helping those guys get better, that'll be individually on, you know, obviously, but, you know, if there's 6 guys in that quarterback room, and I've really only seen 2 of them throw a football. So, you know, I've seen some of them on tape throw it, but see them live, and, you know, we're taking the Boise State offense from last year, using a majority of the terminology and the scheme from that, but we're adding a few things that I like. And I mean, the bottom line is, well, we have to find multiple quarterbacks, more than one, who can help us win in the fall. And so it's hard with that many. And you know, there has to be a pecking order to start. That could change on a daily basis. And you know, my job is just to help them have the best opportunity to show what they can do.
I talked to Spencer, I asked Spencer about this in terms of, you know, when you were here last time, your job was just to win a football game on Saturday.
Yeah.
Ready. How much do you enjoy as part of your job developing quarterbacks Monday through Friday?
Yeah, the last time, because it was such a short turnaround, you know, I didn't mess with those guys mechanically too much. So when we came back this time, you know, we just said, we're going to start from scratch. We want you guys to all do it a certain way. And once you have a proven quarterback, then there becomes some flexibility playing off their strengths and weaknesses. And, you know, we've seen that here. Talon Green was a different type of quarterback than, you know, some other guys. So it's different for them. You know, like I am set in my ways on some things. I have changed in some. They're just doing a lot more. You know, this offense has evolved from Tim Plow to me to Bush, now back. But those other assistants have been up there, and this offense has got a lot more stuff in it than it used to. We're a really good running team. We've got a great running back. We've got a strong O-line with, you know, 4 starters coming back. So I don't know. I'm rambling. I forgot the question.
What do you see in Malachi?
I haven't seen him throw a football except on tape. So I'm you know, too early for me to say anything on that.
you mentioned being a short-term commitment. I know last time you joked that when all the other coaches would go recruiting, you'd go play golf and drink Coors Light. I mean, are you going to be involved at all in the recruiting this again now, or are you kind of seeing this again as just helping this team win this year?
Yeah, I'm not going to be an off-campus recruiter, and Coach D and those guys are working through that. I will be involved in on-campus recruiting, and for this next class, I will help in evaluating quarterbacks as needed. But
You get a new quarterback, whether it's you draft somebody or a situation like this, what are some of the early items on your checklist that you have that you want to get done?
well, so when spring football starts on Monday, and I mean, the object of any quarterback is to move the football team and score points. And so when we're trying, as we said earlier, we got 6 guys, and we're trying to figure out who can play and who, but we can't. The quarterback position can't hold back the other 10 guys on offense. I mean, they got a lot of experienced guys and some new and exciting guys that have come in, but yeah, it's tricky to get the right amount of reps. But we're ultimately just building towards the fall. But we can't slow other guys down because the quarterbacks aren't ready. It's just tricky in the scripting and who goes with what group and what plays. I want to give these guys a chance to show what they can do. They're not just bogged down with terminology. We've got 3 or 4 guys in that room that probably know this offense right now better than I do. But that doesn't mean they're going to be the starting quarterback.
Talk about the unknown, and you said you haven't seen Malachi throw. I know you've seen Maddox throw, and I know that when you were here previously, you thought pretty highly of him. So
Yeah.
what do you know about Maddox, and how does he make that room better, whether he's QB 1, 2, or whatever,
Yeah, I think the thing about that is Maddox showed that he could do it out there last year on the blue. I mean, Maddox has won games on the blue. He's the only quarterback here that's done that. So I was a fan of his before, and I'm still a fan of his. So he's going to be limited, very limited this spring. Still coming off the injury, but he's progressed. He's progressed quickly, faster than expected. But that's going to also give those other guys opportunity.
I think the bowl game start for Tiller helped him. I mean, if he hadn't started that game, he'd have played 0 games basically. Had to play a full game against UCLA. Where do you think that experience would help?
Yeah, I think it has to help. It's rough on your first start when you go against a defense that good. I mean, that defense kind of woke up at halftime, and the second half, CJ was certainly under a lot of duress. That's got to help him in his preparation, and then knowing the speed of the game, for sure. But we'll just have to see how that goes.
You said most of the playbook is set. There's some things that are important to you that you want to add. Without getting too deep into the weeds, what is important for you to add?
Well, it's definitely not set. I mean, it's definitely not set. But like Nate Potter is the run game coordinator, Tim Keene, those guys, the run game is a lot more sophisticated than it used to be, and rightfully so. I mean, this is a run-first football team, so if you can run the football, your chance to be explosive in the passing game comes from play action. That's one thing I think I can really help in the play action game. And it's hard to be a good play action team if you're not a good running team. But we already know we're going to be a good running team.
You stepped away for whatever it was, a little over a year. What did you miss about it? Like, what are the little things about football that you just you get so much joy walking through the door?
Well, once Whitetail closed down in October, I mean, I still came to practice at least once a week, and I was still watching the tape on my iPad at home. I mean, I was still watching the tape, and Bush and I were in communication. I was communicating with Bush all the time. I was still technically an analyst. I was doing it all from home, or I'd come to practice. But Bush and I had a lot of communication. I mean, the main thing that, I mean, you miss the games for sure. I mean, the competition part and the games, that you can't replace that anywhere else. Golf doesn't replace that. And then once you get back, I mean, once you come back, I mean, being around the players is those guys are fun to be around, and just the whole tradition here. And Spencer has done an awesome job at not only building on that, but adding his own spin on it. And that's just something that's important to me going back to 1998.
What's impressed you most over the last year when you look at Ashton and, just kind of how he's contributed even more to the offense?
Well, what's impressed me in the off-season program is how much he's developed as a leader. I mean, he's speaks up out there, and obviously he showed his true colors by making the commitment to stay here, because he could be making more money than all of us going somewhere else, and I'm sure he'll have another round of that coming up. But I've said from day one, Ashton reminds me of Maurice Jones-Drew. I think that's a great comparison because he can do everything. He can obviously run the ball, he can block, he can catch. So now we're finding out, as he's been in a two-headed backfield the last couple of years with George, but now he's the man, and he was the man for a lot of the time this year as well, this last year. But his yards after contact are off the charts. His feel, his ability to break tackles and take guys. They were yesterday. Jimmy, the running back coach, was showing a ball protection tape for the whole team to watch as we start spring ball, and like all in one run, it showed him doing everything a running back needs to do. Covering up the ball in traffic, breaking a tackle, stiff arming a dude, outrunning another guy. Like, this guy's just a really good football player who will be playing in the NFL, and let's enjoy it while we can.
Do you have to be careful with him in the spring, or
Yeah.
is it just full speed?
No, you got to be careful for sure.
Limited reps, and it's not like he needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be smart, and that's easier said than done for sure. But yeah, there really isn't. You don't really need to see him getting tackled out there too often.
Last one.
Prince Strawn kind of fits the mold of receivers you've had in the
Yeah.
NFL, and McAllister. You've had a lot of success for receivers, Strawn in particular, but just as a group, that's a pretty
No,
good
I'm really impressed with him. And when you see him, like when I saw him for the first time, just when I was watching practice once, and you see what he looks like now, like that's what they're supposed to look like. He's got the right mentality for it. Actually, I hooked him up last week for a phone call with him and Chris Godwin from the Bucs, and Prince's brother already plays in the NFL, but this guy wants to get better. I'm excited about that receiver room. I mean, there's a couple guys that have been added that are going to make it even better. But I think that's going to be a good group. With Latrell Caples coming back, and he's had a really good offseason. Austin Bolt's another guy that's going to be in the mix there. But yeah, Prince, that's what they're supposed to look like. I think both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, just the type of pros they are, and like Prince is hungry to learn, and like guys that want more, you should give them more. More than we just give them here. If they want more, and they have questions to ask guys that are playing in the league right now, and we have the ability to make that happen, we should do it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think, well, the main objectives in spring are, obviously get the defensive system put in. We got a lot of new guys. We got a lot of returning guys, but we also got a lot of new guys. So create a sense of competition. There's a depth chart, but it's more of a seating chart. It's written in sand right now. So developing the sense of competition, get some guys playing, see where not only, it's getting the right guys on the bus, but also getting them in the right seats. There's going to be some of these new guys that have come in. We've got to find a package for them, even if they're not the full-time starter. And then it still comes down to who can get off blocks, who can tackle, and who can cover. So we got to keep progressing in the system, but keep things simple enough where we can find out who can really play football as well.
What went through your head when Danielson told you he got Koetter?
Oh, I thought it was awesome. Having coach around during the year, in a limited capacity, but, still being able to come to some practices and help the team. The past year, getting to know him a little bit, seeing how much knowledge he has, how savvy he is as a coach, and then having him around through the interview process, it's pretty clear that, to get a guy with his experience, to get a guy like Coach Koetter that's been here was a home run hire, and I was fired up to be able to work with him, and it's been great just to be able to script against him, with him, and those kind of things, and get some of his take on things as well. So it's been awesome.
Coach, what are your plans for this defense? Any major tweaks in terms of the scheme? Are you still looking at 3 guys across the front, an edge, a couple linebackers, a nickel, and some secondary guys?
No, I think, obviously at the end of last year, we were able to be pretty multiple up front, keeping the same personnel on the field, then expanding into the dime package that was pretty successful towards the end of last season. So building on both those things, getting the guys some new things, some new coverages, some new pressures up front on passing downs, third downs, and then being able to stop the run with a few different calls, and nothing crazy, but just a few change-ups, just so the pitcher's not always the same up front, and the pitcher changes a little bit for the quarterback in the back end.
You got essentially 4 safeties with Benefield for kind of 3 spots. How's that going to, is it just going to work itself out? What's the plan there?
Yeah, it's going to work itself out. I mean, that's why competition's great. And let's be honest, you need more than one guy at every position anyways. And last year at times we weren't able to rotate as much as you probably need to, especially playing some fast-paced offenses. So we're going to have to develop depth at every position so we can get some more guys in the football game. And then speaking back on the dime package, last year we were able to have 4 quote-unquote safeties in the game. One was playing nickel, one was playing dime, one was playing field safety, one was playing boundary safety. But like I said, that was a great package for us, and to be able to expand on that, I think is going to help the football team.
Many years ago, a guy like Kamale Correa, he had like 14.5 sacks as a sophomore, and that number dipped to 5.5 his junior year because everybody this time of year was figuring out a way to, stop 8. So as it pertains to a guy like Ahmed, who really burst onto the scene last year, how do you prepare him for something like that? Whether it be designing something to get him, one-on-one still, or just mentally preparing him for saying, maybe the production won't be quite as significant because you're getting so much friggin' attention now.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go into it and say your production's not going to be significant.
No, that's a bad choice of words there, but
No, it's a good point though, and we've got to find a way to not only progress his technique and fundamentals, but also, we've got to be able to scheme up some ways to get him not necessarily a free sack, because I don't think that happens in football, but to get him a way to get a one-on-one pass rush. And maybe that's, moving him around a little bit in the front. Maybe that's, getting into some different fronts where we can make sure to get him a one-on-one. But, that's part of our job, to get him in position to be successful. And then we've got to also develop his technique and fundamentals so when he gets in those positions, he can be successful. And, to be honest with you, once he gets to the quarterback, we told the whole group we left a lot of sacks on the table, not just Ahmed, but other guys up front. Just combined, we left a lot out there just because we didn't do a good job once we get to the quarterback, and that's on me. So that's something else we got to progress to as a defensive front.
He's kind of known as being a little green just because he hadn't been playing the game for that long. So what will be required of him, I guess, once you start trying to maybe move him around and ask him to do different things?
Yeah, he's just going to have to, he's going to have to be in here with us, and he's going to have to study football, and he's going to have to, the playbook is the playbook, and Ahmed's a smart guy, so that won't be an issue, but it's going to have to be studying more than one offensive lineman, studying where they're going to slide the protection, those kind of things. But the good thing about Ahmed is right now, what you see out of him is his willingness to want to do those things. He understands that he's going to have to he's going to be asked to do some other things this year. And the other great thing about him right now is he's done a great job in coaching up those young guys that are in the program. So he's starting to expand his knowledge base, and he's starting to pass that on to young guys, which is usually the sign that a player is understanding things.
Expectations, Andrew Simpson this spring, and just what type of player you expect him to come into being?
Yeah, and just like Ahmed, right? Like people know who Andrew is now. It's not a secret. He's a good football player. He's a twitchy football player. The thing that we have to understand with these guys is what can they do and what can they do the best, and how can we get them in those positions more often. The things that from Andrew, I'd like to see a little more leadership. He's becoming an older guy. He's becoming a guy that's touted on the football field, but can he help us off the field? So I'd like to see his role in the leadership department step up a little bit. And then once again, his knowledge of the system, his knowledge of football needs to be increased. It's not just line up and play anymore. It's can you direct the traffic? Can you be the guy out there that's telling everybody what's going on?
You expect Marco 100% this spring, or is he limited?
I don't think he'll be 100% no this spring, but I expect him to be 100% in the season, so that's a good thing.
He'll get some work in?
Yeah, yep, he'll get some work this spring.
All right. Thank you all. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys.